Hey there, folks. This is Mitch Firestone with Precision Trading Labs in New York City. I am looking at doing some sector analysis here in preparation for setting up some trades for next week for our subscribers, and I figured I would share with you kind of what I'm looking at here. So what we're looking at here is a sector analysis of the major market sectors. And we refer to this as a spaghetti chart here. And normally I'm not a fan of spaghetti charts, but this is the one spaghetti chart that I actually do like. This kind of ranks the 10 core sectors plus the three extra sectors that have been sort of lumped in with those core ones over the last few years, and of course the broad market. And what we're looking at is their performance on a percentage change basis over the last rolling month. Okay, so I'm always looking at the last rolling month, which basically varies from 20 to 25 trading days. So right here, this is the chart that just closed yesterday on Friday. And you can see the start point on this was January 7th. And so we were basically looking at, for the last 5 weeks, what has been basically kind of a down market with a great amount of volatility. And we can see in terms of performance, basically you have this whole cluster of sectors: communications, transportation, materials, tech, consumer discretionary, etc. These are all basically down 4 to 10% for the last rolling month. Okay, the three above here are ones that are down, let's say 2 to 3%. Okay, and right here you can see our zero line here. So you can see these are all basically down about 2%, 2 to 3%. These are all down 4 to 10%. If I tap on this blue dot here, we can see that indicates that the broad market, the S&P, because the blue dot here is the SPY. The S&P is down about 5.5%. Okay, and of course, so we're in a down market. And the glaring exception to that, of course, is up here, and that's energy. And energy is up 15%, while everything else is down 4 to 10% and 2 to 3% for these ones that are closer to break even. So as a result, what we're looking to do is actually see if we can leg into some positions in the energy sector, which is actually obviously the strong sector. And so we're kind of looking at seeing again how we can leg into that. And so what we're basically looking for is in lower time frames to look for basically some lower time frame pullbacks into qualified buy zones for us in order to then leg into some swing trades to the upside. So that's kind of the battle plan here. So what I'm going to quickly do is just kind of show you the principle of how we kind of create setups in some of our charts here. And so let me kind of show you something that we were looking at in terms of an intraday trade that we were looking at yesterday. And basically the way we set this up on the intraday trade, it's basically the same principle as what we're going to be looking at in higher time frames for the energy sector. But I figured this will just be a good illustration of this. So this was something we had shared with our subscribers yesterday. And basically we were looking at this setup here. Okay, so this was a chart, a symbol that had gapped up significantly from the day before. And you can see when I was looking at this thing was up about 14% at the time that I was looking at this at about 10:25 a.m. Eastern Time. So a little less than about an hour into the session here. So price gapped up. We had this little area of consolidation with this little indecision candle right in the middle here, and then notice this very bullish move out of here. This basically indicated that there was some great deal of price pressure as price popped out of here. And this, of course, indicates an exhaustion of sellers. All the sellers basically disappeared here, and buyers ran up the price chart until they found willing sellers, and that's, of course, how these trades occurred. And so what we're looking for is a pullback into this region, expecting that there's going to be another move out of here because price spent a relatively small amount of time in here, and price left very suddenly with a great deal of energy and a great deal of relative distance. Okay, so that's the principle. And then, of course, we're also looking here to see we basically see some elevated volume in this region here as compared to what preceded it. So all of that suggests suggested to us that, in fact, if we got a pullback into this region, we would end up with we could end up with a nice trade here. So, in fact, we had this set up. We shared this with our subscribers, and we can now see here is that same region again, off to the left here. We ended up we did get the pullback here, and then we actually got this really nice bounce, and this thing went up to approximately 6 or 7 to 1. Okay, and so this is the thing that we had shared with our subscribers yesterday. So if you actually held it the whole way up here, it was 7 to 1. Needless to say, we kind of sold along the way here. Okay, but that's the principle here. Again, we look for an area of consolidation, a very bullish, energetic move, some escalating volume, a couple of other metrics. But when the structure of the zone meets our criteria, when price comes back, we look for that bounce. Okay, so that's what we're looking for in terms of trying to capitalize on the energy sector. Except we're going to be looking at not 3 and 4 minute charts, but we're going to be looking at daily charts and 2-hour charts. Okay, but that's the general principle of what we're looking at here. Okay, so if we kind of go now into look at some setups here, and actually before we do that, of course, let me just throw the usual disclaimer here. Precision Trading Labs, we are not a broker dealer. We're not financial advisors. We're not fiduciaries. Everything we're showing you here, of course, is for demonstration and educational purposes only. Okay, just to be clear about that. Okay, so let me show you some setups that we're actually looking at here now. Okay. So here is our sector workspace that I work out of. This is the energy sector as represented by the XLE, and then underneath here, these are all of the portfolio stocks that are actually in the XLE ETF. Okay, so I basically have the XLE here, and then all of its portfolio stocks, kind of evaluating it. And basically flipping through charts. Right here, this is actually shows its 52-week channel, and of course you can see because of the fact that oil is now sitting at crude oil is sitting at an 8-year local high. These are all sitting at the top of their 52-week channel. A whole mess of these things. So these are all sitting at local highs for the rolling 52 weeks. Okay, and then of course a whole bunch of these are underneath, very close to that. So the sector of course is super strong. So what I'm looking to do though is looking for some quick pullbacks here. So here are what we're looking at here. So here's the XLE itself. Okay, off of a daily chart here. Okay, so we're actually making, we made a low, a high, here's a higher low, and then this is an impending higher high here. So we're obviously clearly in an uptrend on this. And of course, one would expect that since it's sitting at the top of its 52-week channel. So right here is an area of consolidation off the daily chart here, where price rallied up here. We have this little area of consolidation with all of these candles with a lot of wick to them here. So these are all kind of relatively neutral candles here. And then notice that very, very bullish move out of here. Okay, again, this is an area where we expect that if we get a pullback here, we'll actually catch a bounce. Okay, so this would be our entry point if we got a pullback here. Back to 65, 62, and this would be where our stop at is, about $1.50 below this zone here. Okay, and if we look at where it is now, this is sitting at around 70. This is about 65, 63. So this would be, you'd need about a 7. What is that? About a 6 or a 7% move pullback in order to get to this zone. Okay, but that's a setup that we're looking at for the XLE. Something else we're looking at is Chevron here. And if we look at Chevron, we'll actually see that structurally, this is actually not all that different than as we would expect, this is not all that different than the XLE. Okay, I'm looking at this in a 2-hour chart rather than a daily. This just gives me a little extra room in terms of creating, a little extra detail in order to see the structure that I need in terms of creating the setup. But again, similarly, we have this consolidation area. Notice that's really the same major bullish candle out of here, indicating great price pressure out of here. So this is, again, a setup where we're waiting now for price to pull back into here in order to go long. and this would be our stop out. This is our entry. Also, if you're looking at this and you're thinking that this looks like the Fibonacci retracement tool, it is, but we're not looking at Fibonacci retracements at all. Somebody showed me a hack a bunch of years ago where you can basically take the Fib tool and essentially change it into a risk-reward visualization tool. And so that all this is showing here is if this yellow box here represents the unit of risk in the trade, once we actually factor in the stop out point. Okay, if we then go up here, this would be a 1-to-1 trade. This would be a 2-to-1 trade. This would be a 3-to-1 trade. So all this is showing is units of risk. Okay, and like I said, it's just an easy, nice little hack that somebody showed me years ago to use the Fibonacci retracement tool for that. So that's all we're looking at here. So again, on Chevron, again, we were looking for a pullback in here, and of course, one could express the trade by either buying the stock, and of course, one could also buy a call or take some sort of bullish option position based on an entry, though, at this point. Okay, so that's Chevron. Let's see what else we're looking at here. Here is Williams Company. Okay, and again, somewhat similar structure here. Again, we're waiting for a pullback here down to here. This is actually going to this actually requires less of a pullback on a percentage basis. This is only about $1.30 below, so this is really only off of a $30 stock. This is really only about a 3 or 4% pullback that we would need to get into this trade here. So this might be one that kind of triggers fairly soon. So this is another setup. Okay, and then also if one wants to look at sort of the laggards in the sector, that would be Kinder Morgan and Holly Frontier. Okay, and if we look at those, theoretically, they might actually have more room to run because of the fact that they are such laggards. And if we look at so if we look at Kinder Morgan here, here is that again, that same consolidation area. Notice the very bullish move out. Okay, so this would be our entry here at 1592. Again, our stop out would be at 1540. So basically it's a 50-cent or so stop out. So in a sense, we're not just going to let this run. If it doesn't work, obviously we're going to cut this loose. We're not looking to to create a position based on a major loser in the sector. But this one does have a good chance of actually, particularly if the energy sector kind of holds together and continues its bullish move. Given that this is a laggard and structurally this is a good setup here, we could end up getting a nice bounce with this. So this is another one we're keeping an eye on. And the last one we're looking at is Holly Frontier. And so there's this one right here. Okay, and again, right, we had this area consolidation, this very bullish move again, based off the daily candle. We looked at some volume here. This showed some escalating volume in here, and so again, if we get the pullback here, this would be another one that we would be looking to go long on. We might actually not race to do that immediate, even if we get the pullback, though, because we can see that in terms of how this has come out of the zone, it really hasn't gone all that far. We really want to see that this thing has kind of jumped up, probably a good, 3 times its risk, because we want to know that obviously our risk reward is going to be appropriate. And so, but actually this is kind of moving. So in fact, this is actually not too bad. It's almost there. So if we do get a pullback, this will actually be a reasonable setup as well. So at any rate, that's what I got here. So I hope you found this helpful. And in fact, let me just show you something here. If you guys want further information from us about how we trade, as well as getting a trial to one of our subscription services, you can go to precisiontradinglabs.com. And we'll be happy to help you. So anyway, that's it. This is Mitch Firestone, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.